Good morning, fifth graders. We are starting chapter 12, and after you have studied and handled the customary units of measure, the metric system is going to be a piece of cake. It's all about units of 10. As we begin this lesson, I want you to make note of page 517. That's where you'll find this lesson, on page 517 in your book. Today we will choose an appropriate metric unit for measuring length and converting metric units of length. Our vocabulary obviously will be metric system. We have centimeter as one of our units of measure. We have millimeter as a unit of measure, and we have a meter as a unit of measure. Okay, within the lesson they're going to talk about some other ways to remember approximately what units of measure are. Okay, the first thing though I want to give you a visual is when we're talking about meter, a meter is kind of like a yardstick. This would be a meter. Okay, when we're talking about centimeters, all of us have looked at our ruler. We've used the inches. When we were talking about the customary units of measure, we're going to flip that over and we have the metric system. Each one of these, like the 1, the 2, those are a centimeter, and I always think of a millimeter as about the length of your fingernail. Okay? When we are going from one unit of measure to the next, you can think of it also as kind of stepping stones. So when you go from millimeters to centimeters, you're going to multiply it, it's a unit of 10. So if we're going from millimeters to centimeters up, when we're going from smaller to larger, just like in the customary units of measure, we divide. When we go from larger to smaller, again, just like we did in the customary units of measure, we multiply. This is a unit of 10 between millimeters and centimeters, a unit of 10 between centimeters and millimeters, and a unit of 1,000 between meters and kilometers. Okay, and there's that last one that we're talking about. Here's another good visual when we're just getting a conceptual understanding of what those units of measure look like. Like I said, a millimeter, I sometimes think of that as like a fingernail measure or the thickness or the width of a dime. A centimeter is almost like your finger, the tip of your finger. If I were to put that up to there, you can see that's about 1 centimeter. A meter is about the height of a doorknob, okay, like your meter or yardstick. And a kilometer is like 6 city blocks, and we talk about running 5Ks. Well, that would be like 5 kilometers or 3.1 miles. Okay. Here again, we talked 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. 1 meter equals 100 centimeters or 1,000 millimeters, and a kilometer equals 1,000 meters. All units of 10. So that makes converting a lot nicer. Which unit would you use to measure the height of a street pole when you think about those units of measure? A millimeter, a centimeter, a meter, or a kilometer? Well, a street pole isn't necessarily going to be like 6 city blocks, so we know it's got to be something smaller. We know that we would use more like a meter stick. Okay? So the height of a street pole is much greater than the width of a pinky finger, but smaller than 6 city blocks. We would use a meter. Okay? When we're thinking about measuring the width of a textbook, so if I was going to take my math textbook and I was going to measure the width of it, okay, this would be the length and this would be the width, you would probably use our centimeters, okay? And you could say, yep, this is about 22 centimeters. That would be an appropriate unit of measure. Now, when we are converting from larger units to smaller units, we're going from larger to smaller. And again, we're going from larger to smaller, we know we would multiply, okay? How many millimeters long is each strip? Okay, so we have to think, we've got 8 centimeters, and we know that 1 centimeter equals how many millimeters?
10.
10 millimeters. So we're going from larger to smaller. If we have 8 centimeters, we would multiply that times 10, and we would get 80 millimeters. Okay? So they're going to kind of go through what we just did. We need to convert 8 centimeters to millimeters.
Sarah Olson to the office. Sarah Olson to the office.
We know that 1 centimeter equals 10 millimeters. So again, we took 8 times 10 and we got 80 millimeters. If we're going to convert 5 meters to centimeters, again, we know our conversion. 1 meter equals how many centimeters?
100.
100 centimeters. So using our conversion, if we have 5 meters, we're going from larger to smaller, so we multiply. You would take 5 times 100, and that's a nice problem to do mentally. We would get 500 centimeters. Now, when we're going from smaller to larger, okay? Again, I love this visual. When we're going from smaller to larger, we know we have to divide, okay? So we have a high school track measures 250 meters. Lewis ran 12 times around the track. How many kilometers did he run? Well, first of all, this is a 2-step problem for us. We have to figure out how many kilometers he has run. So we're going to take, we know that the track measures 250 meters. He ran 12 times around. We have to figure out how many meters that is. So first of all, you would take 250 times the 12 times that he ran around, and you can either use, you can do that, calculate that out, or you can take 250 times 12, and we get 3,000. Okay, so we have 3,000 meters. But does the question ask how many meters did he run? No. It asks how many kilometers did he run. So there's a second step of our problem. We have to convert 3,000 meters, a smaller unit of measure, to the larger unit. Okay, so when we go from smaller to larger, we know we divide. So we know that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. So we're going to divide 3,000 by 1,000, and again we would get 3 kilometers. So if we were going to answer that question, how many kilometers did he run? We would say 3. Now they're going to run through this, and let's check and see if we did it the same way they did. Okay, there's lots of different ways you can solve math problems, so this is just one that I showed you. So we're going to find the length in meters. They took the number of laps times the length of the track, which was 250 meters, and they got 3,000 meters. That's what we had. So far we are doing it the same way. Then the second step was to convert 3,000 meters to kilometers. We know our conversion is there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So if we have 3,000 meters, we're going from smaller to larger, so we divide. So they took 3,000 divided by 1,000, and they got 3 meters. So Lewis ran 3 kilometers around the high school track. Here we're converting 70 millimeters to centimeters. Again, we're going from smaller to larger. So we know if we're going from smaller to larger, we're going to divide. Our conversion is 10 millimeters equals 1 centimeter. So in this case, we're going to divide by 10. So you take 70 divided by 10. Isn't this fun, boys and girls? Because all of these things we can kind of solve mentally. And again, we would get 7. Okay? All right. There are links on IXL that you can use to strengthen your skills in converting units of measure in the metric system. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of your teachers. Have a great day.